The old farmhouse on Willow Lane had never been perfect, but it was home. Its roof leaked when it rained too hard, the porch steps groaned like an old man's knees, and the paint peeled away in strips like forgotten wallpaper. But for Daniel Carter, a 36-year-old single dad, it was more than just four walls and a roof. It was the only safe place he could give his son, Ethan. Daniel hadn't always lived this way. Once upon a time, he'd had a promising career in construction management, a wife he adored, and plans for a bigger house with a backyard swing set. But life rarely sticks to plans. His wife, Laura, walked out when Ethan was only 4, leaving nothing behind but court papers and silence. Daniel never understood how she could leave their son, but he stopped asking long ago. Now, his world revolved around Ethan, a bright, talkative, 8-year-old boy with messy hair and a laugh that could soften even the harshest of days. But raising a child alone wasn't easy. Daniel juggled his job at the local hardware store with parenting, bills, and never-ending repairs. Still, there was one thing he promised himself: Ethan would never feel unwanted. Not like Daniel sometimes felt growing up. But as winter crept in, bills stacked higher than his paychecks. The furnace rattled like it might give up at any moment, his car needed new tires, and the fridge seemed emptier every week. He was running out of options. That's when he noticed the unused guest room upstairs. It wasn't much, just a small space with faded wallpaper and a view of the backyard, but maybe it could help. Maybe, if he rented it out, they could breathe again. He scribbled out a simple notice and pinned it on the bulletin board at the community college. Room for rent, quiet home, respectful tenants only. He didn't expect anyone to call. But 2 days later, the phone rang. Her name was Lily. She showed up on a chilly afternoon, her dark hair tucked under a knit beanie, dragging 2 expensive-looking suitcases across the uneven path to his porch. Daniel noticed immediately. Her clothes were too neat, her boots too polished, her phone far too expensive for an average student. She smiled, though there was something guarded in her eyes. "Hi, I'm Lily. I saw your ad." Daniel held back his doubts. "It's not much, but it's clean. Rent's cheap, utilities included. It's just me and my son." "That sounds perfect," she said quickly, almost like she was relieved. And just like that, she moved in. For Ethan, it was like Christmas came early. He adored having Lily around. She helped him with homework, taught him little math tricks Daniel hadn't thought of, and told him stories about places she'd traveled: New York, Paris, even Rome. Ethan hung on every word, wide-eyed. Daniel, on the other hand, noticed the little things. Lily avoided phone calls, often turning her phone face down on the table. When asked about her family, she grew quiet. And though she claimed to work part-time at the bookstore, she sometimes left crisp bills on the counter, for groceries, more than any college student could spare. Still, Daniel couldn't deny the good she brought into their lives. She laughed with Ethan, helped around the house without being asked, and somehow made their small, old farmhouse feel warmer. One snowy evening, Daniel came home late to find them on the porch swing. Ethan was curled against Lily, listening as she painted vivid pictures of faraway places. "You must come from quite the family," Daniel remarked. Her smile flickered. "Something like that." She changed the subject before he could press further. Everything changed one night when disaster struck. Daniel's car broke down on his way home from work, leaving him trudging 3 miles in freezing sleet. By the time he arrived, Ethan was burning with fever, coughing so hard his small body shook. Panic surged through Daniel. He couldn't afford another hospital visit. He'd already maxed out his credit cards. Before he could do anything, Lily stepped in. Calm, steady, in control. She wrapped Ethan in blankets, grabbed her phone, and within an hour, a private pediatrician showed up at their door. Daniel watched in stunned silence as the doctor examined Ethan, prescribed medication, and reassured them. When the doctor left, Daniel turned to Lily. How did you do that?" She hesitated. Her hands trembled as she pulled off her beanie, her dark hair tumbling free. Her eyes shimmered with something raw. "I haven't been honest with you. My father is Jonathan Hale." Daniel froze. The name hit him like a punch. Jonathan Hale, the billionaire real estate mogul. The man whose face appeared in magazines, who owned half the city skyline. Lily's voice cracked. I didn't want anyone to know. I came here because I needed to escape that world. To see if people could care about me for me, not for my last name. Daniel didn't know what to say. But then Ethan, half asleep in her arms, whispered, "You're still Lily to me." Her tears fell freely. Life after that revelation changed, but not in the way Daniel feared. Lily didn't flaunt her wealth. She didn't vanish back to her father's mansion. She stayed. She cooked meals, studied for exams at the kitchen table, and laughed with Ethan like nothing had changed. But quietly, she helped. A new furnace arrived, donated by an anonymous fund. Ethan's medical bills were mysteriously cleared. One morning, Daniel found his old car replaced with a reliable SUV in the driveway, though Lily swore she had nothing to do with it. She never demanded thanks. She only wanted one thing, to belong. The real turning point came on Ethan's birthday. Daniel had scraped together enough for balloons, a homemade cake, and one small action figure. Ethan's face glowed with joy. But then Lily handed him an envelope. Inside was a scholarship certificate to the best private school in the state. Daniel's voice shook. Why would you do this? Her eyes brimmed with tears. Because when I needed a home, you didn't care who my father was. You opened your door. You gave me something money never could, a family. The room went silent, heavy with emotion. Daniel pulled her into a hug, his throat tight. You'll always have a home here, Lily. No matter what your last name is. From that day on, their little farmhouse wasn't just a place to live. It was a home filled with laughter, with second chances, with love that had nothing to do with wealth or status. Daniel realized something he'd almost forgotten. Kindness has a way of circling back, often when you least expect it. Because sometimes, the people who need love the most are the ones you never imagined. And sometimes, opening your door to a stranger doesn't just change their life, it changes yours too.